Hello and welcome to Fowl Plays, where we look at tales of tabletop tragedy that are sure to ruffle some feathers. I'm your host, Boss Goose, and in today's story we have a group of players who all use the same generic backstory when making their characters, creating a party of loner outcasts who, after spending a considerable amount of time planning a stealth mission, decide to ignore it completely and go full Murderhobo, attacking everyone in the area instead, and blame OP when it doesn't work in their favor. So take your seats and wet your beak as we dive on into today's tale. Hi everyone, sorry for the long post. I've cut a lot out to try to save words. My original copy is massive, but I really wanted to post about this. Obligatory apologies for any spelling, grammar, or formatting mistakes. I'm writing this on a tablet in a waiting room. So, I'm a longtime player of D&D, having picked it up with 4E in high school. I have recently, after a year-long hiatus, decided to start playing again and maybe begin putting together a campaign of my own. Because of this, I thought it might be a good idea to get off my chest the story of why I felt like I needed to take the year-long hiatus and the story of the worst group of D&D players I have ever played with. The names have all been changed to protect the anonymity of those involved. So, to set the scene, I had been without a group for a few months, owing to the fact that I had recently changed town. I decided that I wanted to get involved in a new group, meet some people in my new town, and hopefully bond with people over the completion of a few quests. I put a call out looking for a group to join, and a friend I met at a local game store, we will call Hank, said that he had heard a guy putting a game together in a world he had been creating for about 10 years. Well, I was super excited and immediately hit this guy up. His name was Gordon, and he was in his mid to late 30s. He'd been playing D&D every week since he could read, as he put it, and we rolled a character for me to play. We were going to play 5e. I was playing an ex-servant who was sold to a school of magic by her mistress when she was 10, and then spent the next 12 years as a maid for the wizards of the school, while studying in secret by candlelight. She uncovered a plot within the school and stole a scroll before running off into the night. She was a half-elf wizard, and I was really happy with my character. I did a one-on-one session with the DM before the date of the first group session, as he was running everyone through some minor encounters, and everything was looking really hopeful. When I arrived, I was the last one to arrive, and I could tell everyone was excited to get started. There was going to be 5 of us and the DM, so a rather large party, but nothing I hadn't experienced before, and the DM seemed really confident with the number. So, in our party we had our DM Gordon, my character, Oni, a half-elf wizard who was working as a maid in a magic school, studying the books at night as she cleaned. She uncovered a plot and decided to escape with an important document into the night. There was a whole load else than this, but it really isn't important. Hank, an elven druid, an outcast. He'd been living out in the middle of nowhere on his own. He was very unsure of new people, but could be a strong ally if you proved yourself to him. James, a human paladin, an outcast, had been living out in the middle of nowhere on his own. He was very unsure of new people, but could be a strong ally if you proved yourself to him. Wait, did I mean to write that sentence again? Maybe I made a mistake? No, friends. His backstory, like with Hank's, was straight out of the player's handbook. As Mystery Outcast, picking all the traits and backstory that meant he could be this mysterious mystery character of mystery. Bacon, a halfling ranger if I remember correctly. They played their character as a bit of an outcast. They had been living in the forest on their own in the middle of nowhere for a while now. He was very distrusting, but could be swayed if you showed him something that made him trust you. Yes, his character was more of the same. But wait, there's more. Harry, a dwarf fighter, and surprise surprise, once again, he was a fucking outcast who had been living out in the middle of blah blah blah. Now, this was my first red flag about the DM that I missed, because frankly, if you're setting up a game and 4 of your 5 characters' backstories are completely the fucking same, you'd ask them to change it up, surely. Well, he didn't, and we went into our first session with 4 mysterious characters of mystery. Now, I know what you're thinking. Are you sure you aren't just writing this to make yourself out to be a better player than you are? Well, no. I'm by no means an amazing player, I just like what I like. I read the books, and whether I'm a wizard, a rogue, or a barbarian, I always try to make them their own people. And I don't mind changing it up if someone else has the same backstory. Helps with the roleplay later on. Now, this first session started great. I bumped into Harry and Bacon on the road. I had come tumbling out of a tree where I'd been sleeping to fall in front of the 2 of them. They helped me up and asked me about myself. I told them about my backstory, and they seemed really interested in the scroll. But since neither of them could open and read it, we decided to go to the next town to see if there was anyone there who could guide us. At the next village, Harry met Hank in none other than a tavern, and Bacon and I met James while we were trying to ask around for more information in the town square. Our new friends joined us on our quest because of various reasons. I know that James followed us because his character had the in-game hots for mine, and although a very meek and kind guy in real life, he played this great Sim Paladin role in game. It was quite funny. So on asking around, we found out some backstory about this world, that there were two gods, the light god and the dark god, and how actions, positive or negative, fueled the god's powers. And places where a lot of positive things happened would bring prosperity and good fortune to those places, where villainy and crime would bring tyranny and plague. The DM's world was well detailed, and it seemed he had written an NPC for every single encounter. He had this epic tome that detailed his world, all his homebrew items and quests, maps of the world and encounters. Truly, hats off to the man. He knew what he was doing. Well, we were told of these 7 gems, like infinity stones crossed with the Dragon Balls, that when arranged by a priest of the force of light or darkness, the world could eradicate the opposite force for 1,000 years. Think Vatu and Rava in Avatar: The Legend of Korra. Each stone had its own power though, with one of the known stones having the ability to bring a dead person back to life, and the others would grant the user a strength boost, to put it simply. Every time one of these was used, they would crumble and reform somewhere else in the world, so pretty standard, but good hook. Well, we found a man who could open the scroll, and he informed us that the life crystal was detailed to have been hidden in a vast underground bank ran by gnomes, and that the wizards were planning to steal the gem. We were all very excited, and found out where the entrance to the bank was, and all thought it would be cool if we collected the other 6 gems. Now, I was having a ton of fun at this point. We all began planning our heist. I had found that what we needed to show the gnomes to get down into the underground vaults was some kind of gemstone. I was going to go into the bank and show the gnome a stone I had cast Minor Illusion on to make it look like a membership gem that we had seen another person leaving the bank with. I was then going to go down into the vaults with my companion Hank, who was then going to knock out the gnome and open the locked side door from the inside, letting the others in from one of the gnome's own access rooms. We were then going to travel all the way down through the vaults and steal the gem. Sounds simple, right? Sounds like there would be puzzles and intrigue combat and just an awesome way to spend some time. Right? When we got into the bank, I realized this wasn't going to go well, and that 3 of my companions were simply put, aspiring murder hobos that thought that killing everyone and stealing everything was a good exchange for decent character moments. So I walk forward to the front desk and perform my bit of magic. The gnome buys it instantly. I rolled really high. Then my other companions enter the bank, and see the piles of gold on each of the desks being sorted by a large group of gnomes. Well, they all lost their heads, and decided to kill the gnomes for the money on the tables. I distinctly remember that Bacon had shouted, "All right, everyone, on the ground. This is a robbery." I am shocked, as all of a sudden they are all in an encounter with a large number of guards pouring in from the town's barracks, owing to the fact that a gnome was allowed to run out screaming because he wouldn't have any money. I can only imagine the look of sheer incredulity on my character's face as the plan that we had put together for the past hour fell apart in seconds because of a couple hundred gold pieces. Hank just starts pocketing money, basically saying, "I didn't sign up for this shit," while the other 3 are fighting what can only be described as half the garrison and a number of gnomes, aiming to kill them all. Well, Harry is knocked unconscious almost immediately. I decide that I don't want to have a part in this, as this was really dumb and my character wouldn't put her life at risk for a bunch of people she met less than a day ago. I simply clear off a couple tables of gold, steal a membership gem, and sneak out the side door unnoticed, as all the attention was on the human, the dwarf, and the halfling causing a scene. Hank too was unnoticed and managed to create a smokescreen in which he left while there was confusion. Bacon escapes during this distraction with only a handful of HP, and James was killed. The session ends with Hank, myself, and Bacon running out of the town with our tails between our legs, with about 200 golds between the 3 of us and a membership gem. 1 party member dead, and 1 now captured and in prison. I was shocked. I asked the others out of character, "What the fuck was that all about? I thought we had a plan." which I was told by the three, it's what my character would have done. Now, like, I get it. Your character has been an outcast, they've never seen wealth living as a hobo in the woods, but, like, we're literally about to be in the vaults of the wealthiest place on our continent, as described by the DM. I looked at the DM, and he simply shrugged and said, well, we'll roll James a new character, and you could always go and save Harry? James basically refused to have his character re-rolled, and told us that we can get the gem and revive him, and then invite him back to the session when we've done it. He wasn't in a good mood because in his words, we would have won if you and Hank hadn't ran away. I'm not entirely sure that's true. Bacon and Harry both thought this was a great idea, but I couldn't understand why we spent so long planning how to get this gem when they were just going to run in and try to kill everyone, and if any of them died, then, oh well, let's use the gem to bring them back. Basically putting us back where we were right at the start, as the gem would crumble to dust. Bacon got annoyed and left with James and Harry, where I'm told that they bitched about Hank and I for days afterwards. This is the start of what I can only describe as the worst time playing D&D in my life, and even the DM went on to do some really quite questionable things. So if you want me to post more of this, I shall. I have plenty of stories from this campaign before I quit, and they get worse from here. The red flags were on show, but like a colorblind person with their eyes closed, I couldn't see them. I wasted so much time on this campaign, subjected myself to abuse and manipulation, all because I wanted to play D&D. This was really only the tip of the iceberg. Thanks for reading. It's a shame the session turned out the way it did. The setup sounded like it would have made a really great adventure. Infiltrating the bank and recovering the treasure sounds like a fun way to kick everything off. I'm not sure why things devolved the way they did so fast after all that planning. I don't know if it was a lack of experience from the other players, or if there was an instigator to the whole event, but I hate the excuse, it's what my character would do. It's not a blanket statement to do whatever you want in game, it's not a get out of jail free card, it's just lazy reasoning for doing something stupid. And thinking about it, I don't even think that excuse would apply to most of these characters. We have a paladin, a druid, and a ranger, classes not usually known for their gold lust. And on top of that, they were all outcasts who lived in the woods. What reason would someone who lived that kind of life have for murdering a bunch of people over a pile of shiny metal? Sure, they probably knew what gold was, but I doubt they used a whole lot of it in their day-to-day lives. Maybe there's something I'm missing, being a third party looking in, but I doubt it. The attitude out of game was pretty shitty too. You shouldn't be blaming the players who made the smart choice and didn't attack half the town for your own character's failures. And telling everyone you're not going to make a new character and to use the gem on me and then I'll come back defeats the entire purpose of stealing it in the first place. This kind of out-of-game bitterness can lead to a toxic environment at the table as well, and from what OP said, it sounds like things continue to devolve from here. And we're going to have to look at the next chapter in a future video to find out exactly what happens. I'm sure it won't be pretty. Anyways, thanks for checking out my video and sticking around till the end. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I upload new content every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, so make sure you check out my channel for more D&D stories. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave me a goosebump in the comments below. The support from everyone is greatly appreciated. But until next time, be good players.